This man is a quarterback whisperer. Guys, remember, there was a point in previous years where you were starting Josh Dobbs with confidence, okay? Unlimited weapons, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Mason. This man is ready to explode in 2025. Do not sleep on. It might be a slower time in the Dynasty offseason right now, but those who are winning their leagues are lurking in the shadows, making moves today. And in today's video, I'm giving you 6 moves to make, and I'm having to do it on a limb, all right? We're using the Wheel of Dynasty here, so at any moment's notice, I need to be ready to give you my 2025 breakout, my best stash, my buy low, my last trade, a sell high, a to be honest conversation. So let's get straight into it, and let's let the Wheel of Dynasty decide our fate here. What am I giving to you first? Tell me, Wheel of Dynasty. I've got to give you my favorite buy low. Well, if you know me, you know I'm a big Rashee Rice guy, and I'm going to continue to tell you guys to buy him low this entire offseason. I have him ranked around wide receiver 14, but he's in a tier where he could be ranked as high as wide receiver 10, and obviously this is before the 2025 draft class is entered into the rankings. He is the easiest buy at wide receiver in Dynasty right now. He absolutely established himself as this team's alpha at the beginning of 2025. If you look at Rashee Rice's averages before the injury this last year, he averaged the 6th most targets per game. He was 3rd in receptions per game, 2nd in receiving yards per game, 3rd in fantasy points per game at 21.6 PPR points per game, and he was a wide receiver 2 in that span. And again, before his injury, he had one of the top utilization rates in the entire NFL. Guys, he had a higher target share and yards per route run than Jamar Chase and Justin freaking Jefferson. And keep in mind, the Chiefs are not positioned to really add a serious threat in this in this wide receiver room, rather, right? This upcoming draft, they're going to be at the back end of the board, pick 31. It's not a strong class like 2024 at wide receiver. It's not top heavy. I mean, Ted McMillan seems to be the only lock for sure at this point to go round 1, and not even him every NFL team is obsessed with, right? So if you look at that consensus big board, maybe we get 1, maybe we get 2. We're not 100% sure. Maybe there's 3. Ask yourself this. This is all I'm going to ask you before we move on, okay? If Rashee Rice wasn't injured this year, where would you rank him in Dynasty? Where would you have ranked him in Dynasty? Just take a second, pause the video, think about it for yourself. I understand he's going to have a suspension. I do not care about that in Dynasty football. I understand he is dealing with an injury. He's going to recover from it, okay? I mean, would he be tier 1? Would he be a top 5 wide receiver right now? Would you give him the Puka Nacua love? How would you rank him, okay? I will always buy the injury suspension discount on wide receivers with elite upsides in Dynasty football. I mean, well-known sports doctor Jeff Mueller actually gave his check of approval recently, and initially in the offseason, he was saying to sell Rashee Rice. He's seen the progress. He's seen the timeline that the progress has come on, and he's saying, actually, I think Rashee Rice is way ahead of schedule. He's going to be good to go this year. If you're looking to trade for Rashee Rice, you can send, my ideal scenario is sending your 2026 first round pick if you're a contender. That is the ideal scenario. A mid to late first in 2025 is fine. You know, players like Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Kyron Williams, Ken Walker, I'd rather get Rashee Rice. Here's some real trades that happened on the Flock site. Rashee Rice was traded. Someone sent away Travis Kelce in the first and 26. Beautiful. Love that. Rashee Rice was traded for Devonta Smith. Justin Fields in the 110. Rashee Rice and Brock Purdy for CJ Stroud in the second. Beautiful. Rashee Rice for Chase Brown. You take on none of the risk with, you know, the Bengals potentially going running back. So I'm going to keep telling you to buy Rashee Rice. All right. What do we have next though? Wheel of Dynasty. What shall I tell the people? I'm going to give you a straight to a sell high. All right. This is one of my favorite sell highs this entire offseason. I just really think we have a talented player stuck in a shit situation. That is Zay Flowers. I have him as my wide receiver 26. You'll see all the other experts on the Flock site have him as wide receiver 18, so I'm significantly lower on him than everybody else. Let's look at his impact in fantasy football through his first 2 seasons. You can see 12.9 and 12.3 points per game. His points per game went down this year. Not a single season in the top 30 in points per game amongst wide receivers. And it doesn't help that the Ravens offense was elite in both of those seasons, right? In 2024, they were 3rd in points per game on offense. In 2023, they were 4th in points per game on offense. And Zay is still having a middling role throughout all of this, by the way. Great receiver, stuck in an offense that doesn't want to feature wide receivers. The offense is so good, but again, they barely need to throw the ball. Look at these past 3 years with Lamar Jackson. They have been 28th, 31st, and 31st in passing attempts per game. And what we need to do is think about historically Like, let's see how players have fared who had a similar start to their career historically. So for this sample size today, we're looking at first-round wide receivers who average 11 to 13 points per game in their second season. That's a pretty big range of outcome there, in my opinion. And we pulled this data from the last 25 years on RotoViz. And the question I wanted to ask is, do these players ever really make a true impact? Meaning like 15 plus point per game seasons. We have 6 wide receivers who met that bill, and 2 out of 6 went on to have seasons over 15 points per game. Demaryius Thomas, who got Peyton Manning, Plexico Burress, right? However, the vast majority of players in this situation did not make a true impact in your lineup. The Corey Davis, Mark Clayton, Michael Floyd, Hollywood Brown on the same team. Talented wide receiver, stuck in a situation where his ceiling is capped. I mean, this team also just brought in DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is toast at this point of his career, but it's still going to hurt the target share. There's such a tiny pie to take from, and now you got less of that pie to split up, right? So I'm willing to trade Flowers from the 107 to the 109 in this year's class, or I'd like to use him as a tier up or a tier down. We'd be willing to tier up to names like Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. We're willing to tier down to a bunch of names like Worthy, Smith, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Jordan Addison, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Jamison Williams, DK Metcalf. I'm willing to tear down to any of those guys. Can you do a pick swap? Can you do a first-second swap? Can you do a second-third swap? Can you do a 2-for-2 where you benefit somewhere else? I'm willing to do that, okay? I think that's a smart move. All right, if you want an in-depth breakdown of your team with customized trade targets, players to buy, sell, hold, then get your team playbook today by either becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND or by going directly to the Flock store, regardless of what promo code you're on. And if you want it done live, make sure you get the live tier. Those links are in the pinned comment. Let's move on. All right, we've done a sell high, we've done a buy low. What else does the Wheel of Dynasty have in store for us today? It is my 2025 breakout. All right, y'all know I've been a big fan of this guy since he got drafted. Love the landing spot. And now he's had an entire year to sit behind an elite offense and learn J.J. McCarthy. In your super flex leagues, even stashing him in your one quarterback leagues, I think he's about to break out this year. Firstly, ideal draft capital in what was a stacked quarterback class last year, right? And today, in the last 11 years, quarterbacks who went in round 1 have a 62.2% hit rate for fantasy football. That's a top 12 points per game season. And I really loved him as a profile. I mean, throwback. If we look at his profile last year in our rookie report, he finished as a gold level prospect. That is one tier below elite. But I love the arm talent. The play extending that he showed was very impressive. Throwing on the run. I viewed him as a mobile Kirk Cousins. That was my kind of comp for him. And think about this. He is entering Kevin O'Connell's offense. Guys, there's not really been a quarterback to fail in Kevin O'Connell's offense. It's almost like completely situation proof, right? I mean, let's go back. In 2017, KOC was a quarterback coach for Washington. Kirk Cousins was 7th in passing yards that year with over 4,000. In 2021, he was the offensive coordinator for the Rams. And Matthew Stafford was top 3 in passing yards in that season. In 2022 to 2023, he was a head coach for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins had his most passing yards in Minnesota with 4,500 that year in 2022. And then in 2023, before he went down with the injuries, Kirk Cousins was on MVP type of form, type of play. And then just last year in 2024, Sam Darnold revived his entire career and Kevin O'Connell got him a bag in Seattle. This man is a quarterback whisperer. Guys, remember, there was a point in previous years where you were starting Josh Dobbs with confidence, okay? You were starting Josh Dobbs with confidence because he was in this offense, leading this offense, all right? Unlimited weapons, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Mason. I mean, he was able to sit an entire year, learn the offense. This man is ready to explode in 2025. Do not sleep on Mr. J.J. McCarthy. You know, your chance to buy him low was when I talked about this 4 months ago when Sam Darnold was doing his thing in Minnesota, but I still think you can go acquire him today. All right, we've given you a buy low, a sell high, our breakout. What does the Wheel of Dynasty have next for us? Let's see. I've got to give you my to be honest. Look, honesty is important. I feel like I try to be as honest as I possibly can on this channel. There are certain things we are very good at in Dynasty football when it comes to the rookie class, and there's certain things that we are not very good at. I need to have an honest conversation about Cam Ward. The reality is, of the big 4 positions in Dynasty football that we scout, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, that's the big 4, right? It's like the Bosch, Wade, LeBron, plus an extra, okay? Now, out of those big 4, the most difficult position to scout by far is the quarterback position, because you have to account for the work put in behind the scenes, the ability cerebrally to advance in your ability to read an offense, to lead a team, leadership. There's so many elements that you can't really put into analytics, stats. You can't even just see it on a piece of film, right? So I am incredibly nervous that I am maybe too low on Cam Ward. I'm going to be honest with you. Every single report from everybody that I view as reliable in the NFL draft industry has Cam Ward as their quarterback one, but they have him undoubtedly as their quarterback one. I just don't have that same conviction as everyone else in this class. I mean, to be fair, I don't have that conviction on really any quarterback in this class, like, to be fair. But if you look at my Dynasty rookie big board, which doesn't account for draft capital yet, okay, keep that in mind. This will change after, that's why it's a big board, not a rankings. But I had him 10th overall in my big board currently. But if he truly goes number one overall, which all these consensus big boards are showing, he's like locked in 101 every single mock draft you're going to see to the Tennessee Titans. If he actually goes first overall, I would have to move him up to at least tier 3, around that 3rd to 5th overall in the class range, right around that Tet McMillan 3, 4, 5 overall in the class. I do my part. I feel great about my hit rates on the quarterbacks in previous years. I feel good about my ability to scout them. But if the NFL views him as a clear quarterback one, of course I have to adjust. I can't take my word over an NFL scout. But I really, really question the decision-making of a Cam Ward, and I question the cerebral ability to just read an offense and just fling it in there instead of constantly, trying to make plays for yourself. We love the play extending, but can you play in the pocket? Can you make the right decisions? And that is my big question with him. It's never been about arm strength or arm talent. But that is my to be honest, okay? All right, what do we have next for the people, Wheel of Dynasty? All right, next we're gonna give you my best stash. And let me tell you what, I got 2 names for you that again, prepping this video, I thought, man, I really want to talk about both of these names. So I said, you know what, F it, I make the rules here. We're gonna talk about 2 players. Starting off with Isaac Horrendo. If you remember from last year's class, loved him, one of my guys. He is now the clear RB2 in San Francisco. Elijah Mitchell, Kansas City Chief. Jordan Mason, traded to the Vikings. I still believe in Christian McCaffrey, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, his injury history is a concern. I mean, if you look at sites like Injury Shark, which they have like this predictor through their database, they gave him a 63.6% chance of injury in 2025 and project him to miss 3 games. And you look at Isaac, when he had his opportunity to start for this team, right, when CMC and Jordan Mason was down, he was very, very good. Let's look at his numbers when he played in games where he had over 50% of the snaps. In those games with over 50% of the snaps, by the way, 4 games last year, he averaged about 13.5 rushing attempts, almost 65 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, but more importantly, 18 points per game in this offense. If CMC goes down and Isaac is the next guy, I think he has a chance to win you a bunch of weeks, if not that fantasy stretch in the playoffs. And yes, of course, they could draft someone, but I still believe that this team has a lot of needs. And they'll probably draft the running back later on, not prioritize it early with CMC there. Second stash is another running back, and he just played for San Francisco and he got traded, Jordan Mason. I cannot tell you guys exactly why, but I am infatuated with the idea of Jordan Mason in Minnesota. I really have this feeling that this could be a huge win for Jordan Mason. Same thing as Christian McCaffrey with Aaron Jones. There's this vast injury history that we have to be aware of, right? If you look at their database, their predictor, they have an 87.6% chance of injury for Aaron Jones in 2025, projecting him to miss more than 3 games. And look, they paid Jordan Mason pretty decent money there in Minnesota, $12 million in total, $7 million fully guaranteed. Is one of the better contracts for an RB2 in the entire NFL. I mean, for reference, get this. He's making the same money annually as Najee Harris. I mean, this is not just some random RB2 they signed. They have intentions with this young man. In fact, the only RB2 in the NFL making more annually is Devin Singletary. And that was a contract last year. So the reality is, when he had his opportunities, he was very good. In fact, I would say he was fantastic with his opportunities, including leading the league in forced missed tackle percentage at 37.3%. Shout out to Next Gen Stats. Guys, you know how much I love Bucky Irving. I will not stop talking about him on this channel. But Jordan Mason had the highest missed tackle force rate from weeks 1 to 8 prior to CMC's return of any running back in the entire NFL. More than Bucky Irving, Ken Walker, Bijan Robinson. I mean, this man was making lemonade out of lemons on a daily basis. And that leaves us with the very last category. So we're going to go ahead and land it on my last trade. I'll show you my last Dynasty trade in my leagues. For context, this is a 12-team Superflex PPR Start 10 league. And I traded away 2 2026 firsts, okay? Now, I gave Jared back his own 2026 first because he wants the flexibility to do whatever he wants with his roster, wants to do a little one-year punt. But I am actively trading away 2026 first-round picks. I got Alvin Kamara, Jordan Love, Garrett Wilson, Anthony Richardson. I debated back and forth so many times trying to keep JJ McCarthy, but we just couldn't get that done with this deal. I had to sacrifice him. I have him in so many leagues. It's okay. But I sent away McCarthy, the 204, and 2 firsts in 2026. Originally, I planned with this team here to do a one-year punt, but I really don't like this upcoming class, and I know I could be wrong. Like, I'm totally aware that anything could happen. Players could break out. A bunch of players could break out. It could be a good quarterback class, but I'm not a big fan of it, and you can check out why in my previous video here where I ranked the 2026 rookies upcoming. So I pivoted. I said, let me use those 2026 firsts to build out a roster that I can probably compete with this year. So here's the starting lineup now after that trade. We've got Herbert, Jacobs, Kamara, Wilson, Waddle, Ingram, Olave, Adunze, Jameson, Jordan Love. On our bench, we have names like Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Hollywood Brown, De'Ami Brown, Jalen Tolbert, right? And then we also have, and this is very important, this is why I felt like I had enough to compete, the 104 and the 105 this year. I believe I can get 2 impact players, guys who I can start from day one at the running back or wide receiver position. So that was the last trade that I made, and you can judge me on it down below if you like to, but that's full transparency. Guys, what do you think about the video? These are some moves that you can make that I am also making in my Dynasty leagues. Let me know what you think about the video. Drop a comment, hit the like button to show some love, subscribe, and I'll see you guys here in the very next video here soon. Nothing but love. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you're thinking about supporting us in this economy, that's big love, and you deserve love in return. So for every yearly Mother Flocker member who uses the promo code LAND, we're giving out a free team playbook, our 2025 rookie report, access to all premium tools, free site vouchers, and of course, a huge thank you from the LAND crew. You're far too kind. That's love.